Hello, my friends. My name is Katie, and today I am here to talk about the 10 best books that I read in 2020. So, I am not digging the books out of this stack. These stacks. That's not happening. So I'm just going to put pictures up on the screen. A lot of these were audiobooks anyway, so I would have been doing that as it is. I guess maybe we'll just start. This is a mix of genres. This is a mix of fiction and nonfiction. This is just 10 books that I narrowed down that really stuck out to me in 2020. They are ranked a little bit, like 10 is the lowest and number 1 is definitely like my favorite book, probably on my favorite books of all time list. So number 10 is The a.k.a. by Emma Roos. This is a thriller, and it was so good. It follows these two kids, and well, they're grown now, but they're twins. There's kind of like a creepy house estate aspect, and there's a mystery that has to do with the au-pair. I really, you know what, this one, just go look up the synopsis if you want to know more. If those are like buzzwords for you, just go pick it up. Don't read the synopsis, just go. It's so good. Number 9 was Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. This is book 5 in the Expanse series, which is a sci-fi series that I've been reading for quite some time, and I enjoy all the books, but this is the first one I think I've given 5 stars to. And the reason I gave it 5 stars is because in this particular book, each perspective that you get within the book are people who are all a part of the crew of the spaceship, the Rocinante. So good. So good, because you've been following these characters for, 4 books now? And the only perspective you've ever gotten before was of the captain, James Holden. But the crew has always been there in the background, and you've gotten to know them by how they interact with others. And to finally be able to get their perspectives and to really get their inner thoughts, it just made me appreciate them in a whole different way. And I loved it. The writing was masterful. I think this is by far the most well-written book in the series. There was so much stress that the characters were under, and I could feel it. I was just as stressed out as they were. And I love that. I love when an author can make you feel what the characters are feeling. Highly recommend the series as a whole if you're into sci-fi. Pretty good. It starts a little slow, but totally worth hanging in there. Number 8 is Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. I was actually surprised when I was going through this list that this didn't rank higher. And I'm not sure why I didn't rank it higher, other than several of these books could probably be tied for the same place. I have an entire review for Catherine House that I will link in the cards. Such a good book. There are people who can't stand it because they think it's plotless, and they hate the main character, and the ending is not neat at all. It just kind of like ends, and it's very ambiguous. You don't know what happened. I'm fine with all those things. Yes, the main character is unlikable, but because I can understand what she's feeling and why she's behaving the way that she is, I found a connection with her. And then I didn't really find it to be plotless. Like, there is kind of like a plot line running through it, and I think the reason people think it's plotless is because it never totally gets resolved. But to me, it felt like real life. Like, that's how it would have gone down in real life. So I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate what the author was trying to do. Book number 7 is The Night Swim by Megan Golden. This is a thriller that I think I read in October? Yeah, October sounds right. So good. Now, lots of trigger warnings in this one because it does follow a rape case. Like, you are going through the trial because our lead character has a podcast. It's a true crime podcast. And the previous 2 seasons on the podcast, she was digging into cold cases. In an effort to try and spice things up and be different from all the copycat podcasts who had jumped on the hype train, she has decided to follow a real life trial for season 3. It's very intense. It was very well crafted. It wasn't one where you're totally shocked by the ending. However, it's one of those where you have it in your head that this could be what happens, but you so desperately don't want that to be the case that when it happens, you're still like, ugh. So good. So good. If you read thrillers and you like things that are, it's not even like a police procedural, and it doesn't even really feel like a court case mystery, because there's an aspect of a mystery trying to be solved in the past. And it's not really psychological either. It's just good. It's just good. Book number 6 is one that I'm not even surprised I put on this list, and that is Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. This is a book I've been wanting to read for quite some time because Olive over at the channel, A Book Olive, raves about it endlessly. And we tend to like a lot of the same things. And based on how she was describing it, I knew it was something I was going to love, and I truly, truly did. There's so much wit and wisdom in this book. And it's such a simple premise. All it is it's historical fiction, and you're just following this young girl's life, and you're following these relationships, and it's messy, but it's real. And it was just such a, for something that was so messy and sometimes unsettling, it was so very comforting to read at the same time. It's a very weird dynamic, but I'm not mad at it at all, and I really loved it, and think if you've ever been interested, you should give it a shot. Book number 5 is The Radium Girls, The Dark Story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore. I listened to this on audio, probably back in September, maybe? And the amount of emotions I felt, I'm not sure I've ever felt them while reading nonfiction before. I was rooting for the girls, and I was enraged at the things that, not even just the men involved, but society as a whole, just nobody was helping them. It seemed like the deck was stacked against them from the beginning, and nobody cared because they were women. The basic premise of the Radium Girls is it's the true story of the women who used to paint the dials, the glow-in-the-dark numbers on watches, and they used radium in the paint to do so. And the technique they taught them to get the brushes to be pointed how they wanted them to be so they could neatly and cleanly write the numbers was they would put them in their mouths. It was called lip pointing. And so many people told them that it was fine and that they wouldn't be hurt, and the story was originally that they would probably actually receive health benefits from it, and then it became, oh, yeah, we know radium's bad, but it's not going to hurt you because there's just too little in it. And what either nobody cared to realize, I assume, I can't believe they just didn't notice, was that radium builds up in your bones over time. So sure, in 1 day's worth, maybe you didn't get that much radium in your body, but years worth of this work? Like, and the things they would describe with like the precautions they would take for the men who handled it versus nobody doing a damn thing for the women. I was in so much agony. I don't know if I've ever been angrier. It's impactful, it's important, and I think everybody needs to read this book. Book number 4, we're going to try to bring this up to a more positive level than the Radium Girls. We have The Wives by Taryn Fisher. This is a book I was getting ready to get rid of. And then I was told that the twist in it was pretty good and that it was worth a read. So I kept it, and I read it, and oh my god, Taryn Fisher, autobiography author, fabulous. Fabulous. Such a good book. It follows this woman And she is in like a polyamorous relationship. Her husband has 2 other wives. Very bizarre. It's very psychological. I'm not even going to say any more than that. If that's your thing, go read this book. Book number 3, and I was surprised. I was very surprised that this ended up as book number 3, because for the bulk of the year, I'd been saying this was my favorite book of 2020, and that is The Lives of Jack the Ripper's Women by Hallie Rubenhold. Such a good book. Hallie Rubenhold did a wonderful job bringing you in to these women's lives, making them something more than the victims of Jack the Ripper. She made them real, true, breathing humans. It was so interesting to learn about their lives and learn that the party line of Jack the Ripper killed prostitutes wasn't true. And then also just learning about Victorian England and being poor, and especially being female, and how if you didn't have a father or a husband or a brother to take care of you, you were screwed. Like, you were just done. Such a good book, so impactful. I talk about it all the time still, and I think about it regularly. Book number 2, we're coming to the end here. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Wow. So good. I remember reading, I think it's called The Birds, in like middle school, and I watched the Alfred Hitchcock movie, and I loved it. I was terrified, but I loved it. So I don't know why it took me so long to pick up Rebecca. But wow, what a good story. The intensity and just the sense of unease, like, it's just fabulous. Du Maurier is a master. It's got a great mystery aspect. It's got a great thriller gothic type vibe. Just such a good book. I don't even know, do I need to describe the synopsis of Rebecca? For starters, I've talked about it in a lot of videos, and also, like, it's a classic. You know what, I'll just link a video in which I talk more in depth about it up here, and then if you're curious, you can go watch it. Okay, book number 1. Book number 1! Word by Word, The Secret Lives of Dictionaries by Corey Stamper. I read this in November. I did the Tri-Chapter Tag, the nonfiction edition. I will link that up in the cards. And Word by Word hooked me from the introduction. And I read it so fast after that. And I loved every second of it. I will link the video in which I talk more in depth about it. I can't remember which one it is right now, but it'll be in the description box or the cards, one or the other. But Corey Stamper is so funny. She is oh my god, you know what? I'm not even going to try to pronounce the word. Basically, what she does for her job is she writes the definitions for words in the dictionary. And this isn't something you would think would be fascinating, and this also isn't something you would think would be that difficult, but good God, it is so hard. She talks about how long it took her to write a definition for, like, but, or take, or to, and it's just fascinating. She's so funny. She also talks about how dictionaries are held as, like, the standard for the English language. But that's not what they are. What they are is a representation of what current English is. That's why words get added to the dictionary, because if there is a word that reaches this threshold of common usage, it gets added to the dictionary, because this is what the English language has become. Language is a living, growing thing that is constantly changing, and the dictionary changes to reflect that. If you like words, if you like language, this is the book for you. I loved it. I said when I first reviewed it that I couldn't think of a reason anybody wouldn't like it, but then my mom actually read it, and she just felt kind of mediocre about it, so maybe I'm just weird. I am a word nerd, though, so if you are a word nerd, go try this book. And that concludes my 10 favorite books of 2020. I loved these so much. I had such a good time reading this year. I really can't wait to see what 2021 brings in terms of reading and far as the world goes, I'd rather 2021 just not bring anything new. Can we just, like, reach some kind of new status quo, some kind of equilibrium in 2021, and then we'll try to improve in 2022, because I feel like if we overreach, 2021 is just going to be even worse than 2020 was. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about my favorite books of 2020. Don't be mean, I might get heartbroken. But no, if you really didn't like something, that's cool. I'm a grown-up, I can handle criticism. If you're new here and you like my content, subscribe, stick around, I'd love to see you in my comments. Thank you for watching, I hope to see you soon. Bye.